Straitjacket's formed at the end of 1986. John, the drummer, and I had been in a band previously called the Doublehappies, and that band ended when the other member of it died, and sort of the whole circumstances surrounding that made John and I pretty determined to carry on really and keep playing music. That was when the Dunedin sound was actually something that did exist, you know. A lot of the bands are sort of had that sort of jangly quality to their music, and you know, I think initially our band had that, and especially with Andrew in there, who was sort of a fan of that kind of music. We had that quality, but at the same time I think we were trying to do something a bit more sonic than a lot of the other bands about, from this neck of the woods. She Speeds was sort of our long-haired lover from Liverpool, and that it was the albatross that hung around our neck for the entirety of our existence. But no, sort of early on, you know, that was sort of a pretty archetypal Straitjackets kind of song, I think. You know, it was a combination of all the elements. You know, it had the melody in there, it had the noise, and it had the dynamics, and it was a pretty strong song too. I like lyrics that are more suggestive and are open-ended, and that's not a cop-out for you know, an excuse for being vague, even though some of the lyrics are quite vague. But I just think lyrics should be something that the person who's listening to can relate to and invest themselves in, and that's why I think it's good to keep it open-ended. Down and Splendor was Andrew's song, and it was probably one of the better songs of that ilk that he wrote while he was in the band. And I know, you know, commercially that was one of the more successful songs we released, but at the same time, without being egomaniacal about it or anything, it just really wasn't the kind of music that I wanted to play. Mark was just more of a driving guitarist than Andrew, really, and just pumped it a bit more. Andrew was into the sort of Birds kind of 60s Rickenbacker jangle kind of thing, and ironically Mark played a Rickenbacker and Andrew didn't, but Mark didn't play it in sort of such a traditional kind of way. Yeah, well, you know, with the guitars in the band, like, we always wanted to play something that wasn't the obvious thing to play. And, you know, like a lot of the chords we used and stuff aren't your classic kind of chords. They're chords we've made up kind of thing. I'm sure they've got a name and stuff, but, you know, I don't know what they're called. You know, you sort of play a chord and, one of the more musically knowledgeable members of the band say, oh, yeah, you know, that's a diminished flat seventh. You go, oh, yeah. Well, you know, I just put my fingers there and it sounded good. You know, that album, we tried to really strip it back, and it was recorded completely live. We felt that Melt was coloured or obscured a wee bit by funny reverbs and production trickery, and, you know, Blow was recorded completely live, and it's probably a far more abrasive record than the previous one, and I think that made it a bit hard for people to get into, because on the surface it was quite abrasive, but, you know, I still generally like that album. I like rap music. I think rap music is a lot more exciting than rock music in quite a lot of ways. Even though it's been distilled and perverted and watered down since it first came to light. But yeah, so Done was our attempt to put in a stodgy rap beat, because it did come out quite stodgy, because we're stodgy white boys, or stodgy half-caste boys. There's just nothing more exciting than standing in front of a great band with this incredible noise blasting your head off, you know. It's just being immersed in that. It's escape and it's excitement and it's expression, and when you're doing it, when this noise, when it's working and you're right in the middle of it and you're partly responsible for it, well, it's a buzz. Well, there wasn't any great sordid story or any dramatic affairs that really led to the band splitting up. It was just time. The band had been together for 7 years. I personally played with some members of the band ever since I played music, and it's just time to change. And we'd done 3 albums. I thought we'd pretty much explored what we could do musically, and just things get old, and whether it's a relationship or it's the house you live in or it's the band you're in, just sometimes you have to have a change to feel motivated and to feel inspired and all that kind of stuff. That was one thing about the Straitjackets. I felt like we were always really, really self-conscious about not selling out or being dictated to by the business side of it. And I think one thing I think, which I am quite proud about with that band is that we did do it on our own terms, and we were making records that New Zealand music industry people and that commercial radio dictated shouldn't be made if you want to have any form of success, And the fact that we did manage to enjoy some kind of success and recognition on our own terms was a really cool thing.